This is Maginoni. And guess what? Today's Wednesday. The last time I checked. And that only means comic reviews. I got 4 of them for you today. Age of Ultron 5. Uncanny Avengers number 6. Avengers number 9. And Uncanny XMen number 4. And the only reason why I have 4 is because I'm saving some rage. Because I looked through previews and all I could get is rage. And I don't know if I want to do the math or not, because if I do the math, I think I'm going to be even raged to a higher degree. So, I don't know. Watch for something soon, because I want to get that done. Anyways, let's get on with this right now. Uncanny XMen number 4. It looks like Uncanny XMen swapped artists with Wolverine and the X-Men. And personally, that's a smart move for them. Because Wolverine and the X-Men, pretty much, no offense, is sucking jellyfish tentacles. And which means it's burning your mouth and body because it just is horrible. And Uncanny X-Men is where it's at right now. And this is actually relates to the events that were going on in All New X-Men, where you have Cyclops and the gang trying to recruit heroes to join his side of the story. Now, the important thing that we have here is this. There's 2 things going on here. One is you have a very nice interaction between the Kookaloos and Emma Frost, and they fully understand the situation of Emma and her powers, or lack of. And the really important thing here is this. The Kookaloos feel that they were abused by a certain degree by Emma, and now they have power. And then they start to, like, push her around a little bit. But Emma's just like, look, this is the situation. I really meant the best for you, and I really want you to come. I need you. And this is a side that I don't think anybody has ever heard Emma say, other than, Scott, I need you to come to bed right now. I think that's the only time Emma's ever uttered those words in a way that she actually meant it. So anyways, overall, that part was really good. All the other parts with the interaction between the other Uncanny X-Men, the newbies, that's hit and miss. They do things like they activate the danger room, and they have a little bit of funny dialogue around there. And, it's meant to be funny, but let's be honest, we don't care about that, because all we want to know with every page turn is which X-Men defected. And we learn at the very end which one. And so this is a spoiler. I'm spoiling it. I should have gone with my gut, because when I first read All New X-Men, I said, I bet you blankety bank is defecting. And then I said, you know what? No. It's Jean Grey. Jean Grey is the logical choice, because if Jean Grey goes, then all the telepaths go to one side. Jean Grey, they're setting the stage with Jean Grey going, I want to know what's going on with Scott, and I can't read his mind. I want to know what's the deal, and this is the only way I'm going to find out. And I said, you know what, Maginoni, that is the way to go. Say that answer. And I did. And I was wrong. I shouldn't do that, because I actually like this book. It was the Angel. The Angel leaves and joins the other team. And I think the Angel has made a mistake right from the beginning, because guess where they're going? They're all going to hell, because Magic's power is going crazy. I can't wait for the next episode. I really, I'll be honest with you. There's very few, I'll word it this way. There's some titles I would really like to see animated. And Uncanny and New X-Men are one of the ones I would really enjoy seeing that, because I think they have an interesting dynamic the way they work together. And I just want to see Warren in hell totally freaking out with feathers and wings. Who doesn't want to see Warren with feathers next to fire? I can't wait. And no, the book is not damaged. It's still fine. Okay. Avengers number 9. Now, this is where we have Starbrand, Nightmask. They go up to Mars. They blah, blah, blah. They talk to Daddy. And then Daddy says, well, I'm not doing anything bad. I just send some stuff seeds to Earth, and they all have special things, properties, and we'll see what happens. And then they're like, huh? So, anyways, Starbrand and Nightmask go back down to Earth, and as you can see, like all these pods have different properties. There's like, let's see, there's self-awareness, self-sustenance, self-repair. Like things like that. And so they all have something unique about it, and they're gonna hatch. And like this one right here is like the heart of the Earth. And what he's basically gonna do is he's gonna cause this crazy. He's gonna make the Earth self-aware. Now, Starbrand and Nightmask are observing this, and Nightmask gets wrapped up into this mess. And Starbrand, because he can't really control his powers, he uses too much powers, and he actually destroys the heart of the Earth. And as a result of that, he causes a lot of damage, as you can see. Now, conveniently, that's when the Avengers arrive, and the fight begins. And I'm telling you, and this is the sad thing, there are so many of you out there who do not understand the pain and suffering that I go through when I read American comics, because you are so, I mean, don't take offense to this, but you are so closed-minded about exploring manga, and you don't understand the joy of a true fight. Because what happens in this issue should have been this many pages of battle. It's that simple. And this is what I mean, imagine you have a guy who Thor can hit as hard as he wants to with his hammer, and it causes no damage. And so what happens is you get this really, I mean, I do not want to take anything away from the artwork, because the artwork is fantastic. And I do love the way how they move the pages around, how they show different parts of the battle. And it's visually really stunning. And I'll be honest with you, if I could, if I had the money, I would just love to buy the artwork for this, because it is really, really good. But the problem here is you're fighting a guy who is basically designed to protect the Earth. In a sense, he's the only line of defense to save the Earth. And he could wipe the face off the planet, the Avengers off the planet, without thinking. And he's actually holding back. So, knowing that, and you see how they just give you the splash page of scenes of this battle. I mean, heck, do you even know what Nightmask's powers are? You don't. No clue. And, you understand where my frustration comes from. Because this is supposed to be the payoff fight where you just go, oh my god, every single issue that comes out, it's supposed to end with an oh my god, I can't believe I just saw that. And this is where we're supposed to see a young boy who has cosmic level godlike abilities go through different stages of fearfulness, of how he's a scared being in the situation that he's at, and how he has to defend himself, and then he's got to mature quickly in the heat of the battle, and eventually there's going to be that time where the Avengers finally do that one thing to push it over the edge where he stops fighting, and then you deal with the repercussions of that. And I swear to God, that battle should literally be this many pages. But we don't get that. And that's my frustration, because I can visually see this. And to me, this is unacceptable. To somebody who's never read manga and does not understand, this is fine. I mean, you have squeed in your chair going, this is simply the fantastic fight that we've been waiting for. And you're blind to what this could have been. And I understand that we can't do that because you can't have 12 issues of just fight. I get that. And again, take a step back, this leads to my frustration. And it just, part of me, it hurts my enjoyment of this issue. Because, now this is a bit of a spoiler part, but I think this is really important. That's relating to characters, where heroes are today versus where they are in the past. See, because at the very end, he gives up basically, and he's like, look, I never wanted these powers, and I held back, and I could have killed you, so cut me some slack. And Tony is like, I know. We know you held back, and why do you think that terrifies us? So what do? They lock him away with Night Mask on that little space station. If you remember, this space station is the space station that they're building in the Avengers, where they're with that event that occurs, that the two Earths colliding. Now they're putting them there because of the fact they don't know what to do with them. Now, if this was the old, like let's say the 70s, 80s comic books, they would never have done this. They would have said, join us and we'll train you. I remember there were times, heck, even the X-Men, no matter how powerful the mutant was, it was always, don't worry, we will train you. And if the person was too powerful, they always left him behind, in the story, because then, heck, he just walk in and do that and Magneto's dead type thing. So that's why it's very, I understand why they would do that, but they would revisit the character later on, or give them a very limited role into the series so we don't forget them, and we show character development. I don't remember, in olden times, when they would just banish them. And it really says a lot about the state of the comics. And like by that I mean the way the characters are, their motivations, and how they react to a situation that is totally beyond their control. And I understand that this is part of this bigger picture. They just didn't arbitrarily go, well, we're going to introduce these characters for a couple issues and we don't know what to do with them, so we're going to banish them to the space station. I get there's a purpose to that, and I'm not necessarily criticizing that decision. What I'm saying is, if you look back historically and think about, like, for an example, when you're, let's say, 10 years from now, when you pick up the trade for this issue, and where these characters are in relationship to where they're going to be. This is a slightly different Avengers team, and I don't mean to criticize it. What I'm trying to do is I'm pointing out what we're seeing in a way is an evolution of characters, and this is kind of like an interesting time. Even what they're doing with Superior Spider-Man, what they're doing with Age of Ultron, and to a certain extent what they did with Avengers versus X-Men. This is like a very, like I said, an evolutionary period. And I think what we really should do is we should take the time and try to see what they're doing with some of these characters. Because I can guarantee you that they're not really doing it with DC. A lot of times with DC, they just darken them up a little bit, make them a little bit dirtier, and then make them a little bit more violent. Like, for example, Hawkman. But in this case, don't get me wrong, Hawkman's always been violent, but it's that character type, like Deathstroke. When has Deathstroke ever been a heroic character that should have gotten his own series? Never, type thing. But the point is, they're doing something different, and whether or not we like it or not, I think it's important that we pay attention for it. Okay, next up is Uncanny Avengers. Now, this is the story that we never knew existed, because it never existed until they needed to do something to bridge Thor with Apocalypse and a prophecy that only Odin knew, type thing. Now, what we have is young Thor and Apocalypse. And Apocalypse is working with Kang. I'm sorry, not Kang, Ramatut. And basically what they're doing is they're cleaning up loose ends before they become dangerous. So what is going on is Ramatut is insinuating at this stage that, you have to kill Thor now because Thor is going to become a problem later in the future. Well, Apocalypse sends Thor packing because Thor doesn't have, the strength, the arm, his hammer, etc., etc. Thor goes whining to his dad. His dad says, son, let it be. He beats you, and if you do anything to Apocalypse, it's going to cause a catastrophic event later. And Thor, being the young kid he is, and he just, he's out for vengeance, but he's not really, he says that he's out there save people's lives, but in reality he just wants revenge. Well, he gets tricked by Kang, and Kang gives him a weapon to kill Apocalypse. Well, we get the ancient time version of the Four Horsemen, which, I mean, it's an interesting take on the Four Horsemen, and I like how we're able to see the Four Horsemen throughout time, and the fact that they appeared, in the past. So I'm cool with that. And then, Thor kills him pretty easily, battles Apocalypse, wounds him with the weapon, and then this sets the stage for what's to come recently. Overall, I know I know I've been up and down with this story, but I think overall I'm really enjoying it. And I think even though you might hear me give a criticism about Uncanny every now and then, it's a very, you have to look at it in the context of things, in that I might have nitpicked it a little too hard, but I think overall Uncanny it's been a solid read. I mean, if you really look at it this way, if you look at it Uncanny versus, let's say, Justice League of America, this is like a night and day book. And in terms of everything, I mean, heck, let's just even say Justice League. This book, Uncanny, the way they're pacing the story, the way they're building the story, the way they're introducing the characters, I mean, if Justice League can only be half the superhero that Uncanny Avengers was, DC would be that book would be far better. But anyways, I think that's enough of Uncanny. Buy it. But I think a bunch of you out there who are purists, or people who, there's maybe people out there who just go, this is a bunch of horse manure. But I'm really enjoying it. Age of Ultron, book 5. What can I say? This was a very ethical, character-driven story, and they rode. They rode the short, bloody bus. I don't want to make it sound any bigger than that. What we have is the a little origin of the not the Vision. This is, if you remember, during Avengers Disassembled, the Vision got ripped in half and whatnot, and Vision got rebuilt, and it goes months later. Months ago. The three great minds are together to rebuild Vision. So Vision comes to. They talk about Ultron and the Vision, the short history, and then it goes back into the story. Now, they go to the Savage Land to look for Nick Fury's secret base, and sure enough, they find him. Now, Fury's got a plan, and his plan is to go into the future to kill Ultron. Now, personally, I think that's the mistake, because the thing is, you can't go to the future to kill Ultron because the world stays the same. Technically, what you would have to do, there's two scenarios that you can do. One is go into the past right before the Ultron attack and then destroy everything that led up to that. Meaning, you would have to take out the Vision, obviously, and then you would have to take out Ultron. That would be step number one. If you do that, then yes, you will prevent it from happening this time. But that doesn't mean Ultron will stop there. He'll do something else, and he'll probably succeed. And now he somehow knows, that they have a Doctor Doom time machine somewhere, and he will find a way to safeguard against that. Because they make reference during this whole thing that he probably already knows that they're there, and he's probably already sent troops. Now, the second thing they can do is this, and this is where it gets kind of ethical. Do you go back into time and kill the one thing in time that can prevent Ultron from ever being created in the first place? And that is kill Hank Pym. Because you can't go back into time and tell Hank Pym, if you create Ultron, he will destroy everything. Because everybody there knows all you're doing is you're encouraging him to create Ultron. Because he'll say, no, I won't do that. I'll create a better Ultron that won't do that. And which ultimately will lead to the same nonsense. So the heroes won't do that because it's the butterfly effect. You know, think about how many times Hank Pym has been involved in saving the universe. It's a lot. How many times has what did Hank Pym do throughout his career that influenced things one way or the other? A lot. So if you kill him, it's going to have a ripple effect. Well, while some of the heroes go after Ultron, Wolverine says, this is horse manure. I'm going after him. And everybody else is like going, you can't do that. And Wolverine's like, look, we lost. They're not going to win. This is our only real chance. And who cares if the history has changed? Because this is the reality we live now. Ultron killed Thor, Thing, all these other people, and we have no choice. So now we go, who's right? You know, technically Wolverine is right, but at the same time, what will happen to the history is insane to think about. And I think this is where we're talking about how we're going to see some changes in the Marvel Universe. Because there's two avenues we can go. One is Hank Pym's dead, which we know he's not because he's going to be a part of a Ultron miniseries with Hank Pym and a bunch of characters. And then there's the other Avengers who went into the future and did some stuff there. So you can see that something is going to happen to the time stream that's going to affect things. Now, the thing I don't understand, and call me crazy, and you can write there in the comics if you really think I'm crazy, Wolverine constantly says he is the best there is. If he does not skewer Hank Pym on the first try, he can no longer claim to be the best there is. He is freaking trained by a ninja. He has claws. He has killer instinct. He has nothing left to live for. And you're telling me that an older version of Wolverine is going to skewer him with his claws and he's not going to kill Hank Pym? I find that very hard to believe. So I'm really curious to see what happens. There are some funny moments. Like, for an example, there's a thing where they're outside the cave and then, like, Captain America is like, Emma, do you hear? Is there anything that you can pick up? She's like, my telepathy doesn't work very well anymore. And he's like, I gotta get the quote because the quote was kind of funny. He's like going Peter Parker, and Peter Parker's like, he's like, how's your spider sense? And he's like, well, pretty good. How's yours? And Cap's like, you sense any danger? And Peter's like, that's not how it works. I actually have to be in danger, not doomed and depressed. And my doomed and depressed sense is a blaring like a car horn, if that's what you mean. And you can just see the look on Captain America's face where he's just like, I'm done with you. And then he just goes on. He's just done. And also this is like a weird thing too. This is supposed to be the superior Spider-Man. And this is exactly the dialogue that Peter Parker would have given. So I thought that was an interesting slip in a sense. The other thing that was kind of funny is they're going through Nick Cage's secret stash, and there's like an old Iron Man armor, there's a bow for Hawkeye, there's the Goblin thing, Magneto glider, Magneto helmet, Nova helmet, guns galore, there's Ares battle axe, and then Peter Parker sees some web shooters, and he's like, excuse me, my web shooters? And like Nick Fury's like casually, what, you're the only guy who can have like web shooters? I mean, Nick Fury is like a cockroach, and he's like stealing everybody's items. I'm like, unreal. Where, I mean, heck, he even stole Cap's old energy shield that nobody cares about anymore. Man, this guy is like, man, he's a cockroach stealing shit stuff. Anyways, that's my review for these. I mean, I know I kind of jumped. I didn't give a clear review on this, but so this is what I'll say to end it. I mean, I love Hitch's art. I think I've made that clear from the very beginning. It's real. I appreciate it and I like it. And it'd be very sad when he leaves this storyline. The story I thought was good, but again, what we are in is we're in a transition period from the beginning to a turning point where we're at a crossroad. Heroes are going to become heroic, or Wolverine's going to become a killer. So we get to see what happens. We're going to get to see how time is affected, because I have a feeling this is the, like I said, this is the stem of the new Marvel universe. Like, I think we're going to see some changes, but I don't know what we're going to see, because it doesn't look like, at least so far, there's no clear indication that things are going to happen. Now, but there is going to be a Marvel Now relaunch too, and I think we have some clues. One is there's the relaunch. I mean, not the relaunch, the second wave of Marvel Now. So obviously something's a new push is for that. Two, Angela, the Spawn character that Neil Gaiman created. She's going to be at the end of this series. That's a very critical clue that things aren't going to be the same. The final clue that I can see right now is Miracle Man, Marvel Man. Now, it's been announced that he's coming. He's coming very soon. So right now the speculation is he going to be involved in the Age of Ultron? Personally, I think this could be a double-edged sword here, because on one hand, it could be great storytelling, but there's so many new readers who have no clue who Miracle Man is, other than, he's a guy that was wrapped up in controversy and a lawsuit, that I don't know if that's going to hold the impact that it should. Angela, to a certain degree, will be fine because she's a girl. She's got scantily clad with big weapons, and they'll be fine, no matter what her backstory is. But Miracle Man's different because he is like, he's a totally different beast. And I don't think a lot of the newer readers are going to be able to identify or even comprehend the importance of what his appearance would mean to the overall grand scheme of things. So, I think those are some potential clues as to what is going to happen. If you are going to cause this ripple effect, that's the perfect time to bring him in, and they could bring him in a logical way. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to the end. They do it to me again. Trinity War, I don't care what happens in Trinity War. In all honesty, I couldn't give two flying squirrels what happens at the end of Trinity, because I can guarantee you what's going to happen. Justice League goes this way, Justice League of America goes that way, and Justice League Dark goes this way. And granted, they might do some things because it's Pandora. They might do a relaunch again. They might explain why the relaunch happened a little bit more detail. They might shift things around. Who cares? Do any of us really care what happens? Maybe there's six of you out there, maybe. And those are the ones that dislike this video because of what I just said. But this is the gem that, what's going to happen, because it could affect what happens here, and it could affect what happens here, and even what's happening in the Avengers and the new Avengers. There's so much going on. Anyways, I've talked a lot. Let me get you a code. I'll get you 2 codes, if that'll make you feel better. Here's code number 1. And I'll pick this at random. Well, I guess I really can't pick it at random. While I'm trying to pick something out, how many people are going to be playing the new Marvel MMO? I know, it looks kind of good. I mean, it's Diablo Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but I don't know, it looks really action-packed. Okay, so like the Facebook link right there. Crunchyroll anime reviews. Exclusively on Crunchyroll. And it's free right there. And I'll have more reviews and stuff like that later. Sorry for banging. I didn't mean that. I forget you guys have headphones sometimes. Watch my previews video. I need more rage. I almost had rage today, but I lost some of it. So hopefully I get that back. And until next time.